Hi guys. I'm wondering if I'm live. I probably am by now. The blue thing is going around and around, so I'm probably live. Okay, so guys, the title of this, it just would not let me leave a title, so here I am without a title, but the title is The Roller Coaster of Awakening. um, yeah, the end of July, I definitely caught a wave of super conscious energy, which was really catapulting me into a peak state of integrated awareness. But it was not a peak state that was sustainable. It's so interesting what happens. So if we think of, we have our DNA in this like motherboard, and that motherboard is the part of us that's conscious. That's the part of the self that's integrated and conscious. And then we have all this outlier DNA. Scientists used to say junk DNA. Potential DNA. We have all this potential DNA around us. And what happens when we take a quantum leap, like the one that happened to me in the end of July, and you guys know what it's like when you're in a peak state. It could be one that's drug induced. It could be one that's induced by romantic love. There are many different things that can really catapult us into a peak state. Anyway, so what happens is when we get catapulted into a peak state, all of a sudden, a whole bunch of new DNA gets grabbed from out of the outliers and pulled into the motherboard. But it's not sustainable. As soon as the peak state's over, you're going to drop right back to the state of consciousness that you were at before the quantum leap happened into the peak state. And so this is why awakening can be such a roller coaster. Because what happens, and I think you'll understand this as I say it, so you go into a quantum leap and you are just making this super wide, expansive consciousness happen. But it's not sustainable, right? It's really I've never taken hardly any drugs, mostly like Sudafed and cold medicine, but people have told me that I act like I'm on LSD sometimes, so we'll use LSD. So it's like an LSD drug trip, right? It's induced by this drug, and you could say when we make a quantum leap without drugs, we're also in a state that was induced by a whole bunch of different elements came together to make it possible for us to jump into that peak state. And it's like I said, it's not self-sustaining. The consciousness is not wide enough to be able to hold that much light. So as soon as it burns itself out, like mine lasted like 10 days before I fell back to my regular state of consciousness. And it was a hard fall. It was super painful. You'd think after doing it this many times, it wouldn't be such a hard fall. But it was. I haven't had a quantum leap like that in many, many years. And so once you get back to your old state of consciousness, which let's say your quantum leap was you leapt into a super wide state of integrated awareness. And now you're back in your little contracted, way more, 3D oriented zone. But this time now, you've got the prescription for that great expanse. You've tasted the expanse. And so now the expanse is going to take you down deeper into your shadow so that you can feel all the emotions that block that expansive state. So not only are you hurled back to the state of consciousness that you were at before, but now you're in a dark night that's way deeper dark than you've been in a long time, because since you touched the stars and touched heaven and expanded that far, now you have to feel all of the agony in the DNA that has kept it out of consciousness. The good news is that when it all comes back into consciousness, you ground at that level. Now this could take 6 months, it could take 3 months, I have no idea. But it's kind of like needlepoint. You're stitching, you're sobbing, you're weeping, you're stitching, you're sobbing, you're weeping, you're stitching, you're sobbing, you're weeping. It's it's the journey in time, right? When we have these huge quantum leaps, they're outside of time. It's like we leap into this massive infinity, and then bam, we're back in time, and we have to catch up. The linear 3D body, the DNA has to catch up. It has to embrace a piece of itself, like an inchworm. Inchworm, inchworm, getting wider every day. The more you cry, the more you release, the more DNA can come in and stick. And then you're building the house of God. Before, you literally became God, but there's no house. So now we're going back and we're creating the house, creating the structure to hold that peak state in an actual foundation in our physical, spiritual, emotional, mental body. Our whole being is now an architecture that holds that frequency of expansion. So this is what happens when we wake up. Hey, Brent, nice to see you. we fly and have these massive, expansive things, and then we crash and burn, and we start over. We wipe the sleep out of our eyes as the tidal wave has hit us, and we go, okay, how do I walk? Not only am I not flying, now you're limping because you have more shadow to process because you touched so much light. So in my flight school, this is what we're going to be learning. We're going to be learning that really grounded flight is living in a state of non-attachment and willingness to process every emotion. And yes, the joyful emotions are beautiful, but we are becoming an unconditional joy, because joy is the state of our being. And we are this oscillating wave of perpetual presence that shines within all conditions. Whether we're in a quote negative emotion or a quote positive emotion, we are the sky in which all emotion is happening, right? And so flight school is really about becoming the grounded flight of detached, loving, all-embracing awareness. So anyway, it's been kind of the lion's gate. The lion had its way with me. I'm telling you. On Thursday night, I got attacked by the Draco and hurled into the hell realm. And then on the, the negative aliens are really our allies, because they will tell you, you're not in a stable peak state. And you want me to show you how I know you're not? Because I'm going to attack you right now. And can you hold it? No. Nosedive. So really, the negative aliens are just like there when you're washing the window and they're saying you missed a spot, right? They're the ones that identify. They throw the rock at the whole DNA fabric and they say, let me do quality control. Are you really integrated? And they throw that rock and the whole thing, and you go, guess not. And so in the end, I just say, thank you guys. Thanks for showing me what is still not healed. So we can see all forces as our allies. You missed a spot right there. You missed a big spot. Ultimately, as we really become the diamond sun, we become invincible. No one can break our bonds. No one can phase us. No thing can phase us. We become immovable, unshakable. And so on the way to that huge, beautiful bonding process, we have to try to make some bonds. So we're going to take spit and duct tape and try to bond anything we can. And then we're going to get thrashed, and then we'll build it stronger. And it'll come back, and we'll keep building the house of God. We'll keep building the sacred marriage, and it'll keep getting destroyed. And then we'll build it up again. It'll get destroyed again. And we'll keep building it until it's indestructible. And that is the path. of the reclamation of the Christos, the Christic architecture. The body of Christos Sophia, which is the sacred marriage of our original divine blueprint, our DNA, 12th dimensional sacred marriage of the electro, the magnetic, and the full house of God as invincible diamond sunlight. And then no attack, not from the head of the Draco, can touch me or touch you, right? Because we become the living embodiment of the cosmic Christ. And it's through neutrality. It's through absolute steadfast presence of all embracing neutrality that we become the diamond sun. So, that was a mouthful. Hi, Lisa. Love you too, sweetie. God, I love that beautiful picture of that little door. Oh. So, anyway, guys, I'm still doing my class. The curriculum's changing as I go through different things. But starting August 23rd, I'm doing an 8-week class, and we're going to be going into a little bit of galactic history to help us understand the damage in the mitochondria, the damage in the pair bonding of the DNA, and that the healing is through sacred marriage, which is through inspiration, joy, love, cooperation, synergy, connection, interactive mutual benefit with our environment, co-creating happiness together, co-creating love together is what calls the DNA out of its latent potentialized form, and it calls it up to dance with the rest of the helixes. And this is how we restore light body. So we'll be having music, we'll be having artwork, we'll be having beautiful slideshows. I'll be sharing a curriculum that I'm just creating right now, which will have a lot of different elements to it. And the cost is $333 for the 8 weeks, which comes down to just about a little more than $40 a week. And I'll meet with you guys on Zoom every week, and then I'll give you the materials. And we're going to have a pre-class interview where I really interview you to find out what is it that would mean the most to you to see in this class, because I want to make this class really beneficial for everyone who's in it. And we've got 6 or 7 of us that are signed up, and so we would love to have you. You know, sky's the limit. We can have it's a Zoom call, so we can have as many people as want to be there. So tinyurl.com/wings of joy, tinyurl.com/wings of joy. You can register, and you can do a payment plan. You know, there's some scholarships available. If you really want to be in there, we can find a way to trade. All right, guys, I'm going to go now, and got a reading with the Pleiadians. Yay! I'm going to talk to them about some stuff. All right, I love you guys. Thanks, Brent. Thanks, Lisa. Let's hang in there. The roller coaster of awakening. Ciao.